What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and my fresh playthrough for 2023 and 2024. Now, last episode we had just moved on to adventure mode. We've now got that wrapped up. All of the adventure mode maps are pretty straightforward, but there are a couple I will jump in and just kind of show a few little tricks on. The first one being on the Forgotten Ruins. Let's check it out. Now, on this particular map, things are very, very straightforward. No big secrets or anything on this one. However, one thing you want to be cautious of is any javelin throwers, which we don't have any in the first wave here, but any javelin throwers from this lane. That sub-objective is extremely close, and javelin throwers do have super long range. So you're going to want to make sure you kill those just as soon as they come out. Now, I've been going through and doing the Flame Aura and Lightning Strike Aura spam, as I mentioned before. Would have that going up to a wall. However, remember, javelin throwers have good range. Additionally, javelin throwers, javelins will pierce. So like a natural instinct would be to use this choke point right here. However, the problem there is if a javelin thrower throws at the blockade, you could potentially get pierce that comes up and hits your sub-objective, which would be bad news. So I usually place my blockade a little bit off to the side on this particular lane, making sure it's closer than the sub-objective. That way it gives the javelin thrower something to aggro to. However, the projectile won't cause any harm if it passes through. Additionally, you can do something like throw a spike blockade off to the side here just to collect aggro versus any of those javelin throwers that start tossing at your goodness. Now, just the Flame Aura Lightning Strike Aura spam still widely in effect by me, so we completed every adventure map just using this, but let's move on over and take a look at another map and objective. And that brings us over to the Kobold Bling King map. This particular map is all about picking the gold up and returning it to the Bling King. Each wave will run until the Bling King has had its amount of gold for that wave. You see here through the first wave, we've got to return 4 golds. Now, the important thing to note here, it will be quite obvious that there's a special enemy. When that special enemy comes out, it is going to drop a piece of gold when it dies that you can collect. However, there are also spawns throughout the map. So generally speaking, for me, I will just run through the map in a big kind of counterclockwise circle, look for all of the gold that drops on the various places on the ground, and then after I find all the environmental gold that I can, then run over to lanes and pick the gold up. When an enemy dies on a lane that is a gold carrier, that gold is just going to lay there until you go and pick it up during that wave. So definitely prioritize the environmental drops. Your defenses are going to kill the special enemies anyway, so the gold is just going to be there waiting for you. And that will allow you to process this Bling King map a little bit faster. Next up, we have the Temple of the Necrotic. Now, the Temple of the Necrotic has a similar situation with javelin throwers and a sub-objective. Any javelin throwers you get out of this lane, you see we've got them right in wave 1. It's that top enemy can throw at that sub-objective from very far up the lane here. So you want to make sure that you place your wall in a position where any projectiles that pass through it are not going to hit your sub-objective. So taking a look here, if something throws at it here, it's going to just barely miss the sub-objective. However, if I put the wall back here, it would likely hit it. So additionally, on this particular lane, we do want to make sure that those javelin throwers die right away. So I would build this one out something like this with probably a lightning strikes there and a lightning strikes up here to help out with that damage. Additionally, remember the middle lane here, unless it gets a mini boss spawn, it's all skeletons. Skeletons do take increased damage from fire damage. So something like Flame Auras is just going to wreck it, and it doesn't even really require much of a defense. Just going something like this will easily hold each of those 2 skeleton lanes. And that brings us to the Harbinger fight. Now, you no doubt will have quite the challenge doing any real damage to the Harbinger. And the key here is to stay alive until the bird comes. There's going to be a wyvern that flies in that drops a special crystal, and this is going to allow you to do some pretty extreme things to the Harbinger. So really the key to this one is just stay on the move, keep an eye out where those projectiles are flying. If he starts charging towards you, you can jump over it. And then here we see our wyvern is coming in now. As soon as we pick that crystal up, we are going to be able to do some nice damage to this guy. So let's go ahead and pop the bird. You see another one is flying in back to back. They do come in pretty quick. And this is going to give us what we need to really dish out the pain against the Harbinger. So getting that wyvern killed is the key to cycling through all of these waves. Additionally, if you get one of the gems towards the end of a wave, that gem's buff will last until the next wave. So if you get one like in between waves 2 and 3, or in between waves 3 and 4, you can cycle those waves very quickly. And the rest of those adventure maps are pretty easy to do, and just a matter of going through and jumping through. Now, once you finish up the adventures, you're going to be well past level 50. You see I'm now Ascension level 11. Additionally, you're going to have that 1,500 Defender Medal reward, which takes me up to 2,300 Defender Medals now. Going to have just over 1 million gold, and then you got those 450 free gems, the 150 free gems from the first 3 zones each. Now, the key to these gems is use them on something that you can't earn in-game. So the things you can't earn in-game are things like bags. Now, that's not enough to unlock a bag. However, bags do go on sale periodically, which means if you save these gems, when bags go on sale, you can unlock another bag space. Additionally, don't ever forget about your player shops. You're going to be able to want to sell as many things as you can to other players later. These slots are 50 gems each to unlock, and you cannot earn them in the game. You have to pay gems for them, so the only way to get those unlocked is going to be with gems, and I feel pretty good about throwing some gems at those first few slots. Now, the big reward from completing adventure mode in that section of the new player quest is, of course, the Destruction Shard. This gives us such a huge head start in the game. Before even making it into Chaos 1, we've got Chaos 1's premier shard, and it is here and ready to use. So this one instantly gets an upgrade. Now, I haven't spent any gold so far other than what I have spent on shards, so like that defense rate shard. This one is going to instantly get gold thrown at it to get it upgraded, and it's going to go on my most used defense, which is the Flame Aura. So I've now got Destruction and Defense Rate on a Flame Aura. Additionally, I found this relic with Gobu Boom on it, which definitely helps out quite a bit. Goblin enemies explode when killed, dealing around 7,200 as area damage depending on the enemy type. And then we got lots and lots of shards. So let's take a look at what we got here. We got 2 constructions. I'm going to save those, and I'm just going to pop them into hero slots here just to make sure we have them for later on down the road. We've got an Enduring Tornado, which I've actually... Do I already have that one? Or no, it's a Glove Shard. I do already have that one. That is one that I'm probably going to want to guild, and here's where the inventory challenge starts to come in. To guild this shard and increase its value, I'm going to need 10 more of that same shard. I don't have, you can't do it unless it's full upgraded. So let's look at, say, this Destruction Shard. To guild Destruction, I need 10 more Destruction Shards. And this is going to fill your inventory. Now, in 2024, Chromatic has talked about wanting to give us a Shard Vault tab. So that will greatly release the tension of the need for inventory in the game. as you can completely overwhelm your inventory very quickly with saving up any of these shards. Now, if it's not a shard that you want to save or are interested in using at all, you can just sell it, and that is going to give you shard dust. Every time you scrap a shard or sell a shard, it's going to give you shard dust, and this in turn brings us to the next portion of the quest. Speak to the Grandmaster to learn about shards. So let's head on over. This one's going to give us 100 Defender medals just for coming over here and chatting with Grandma. So once we go through that, we're going to get our 100 Defender medals, and Shard School will be completed. Now you can bring your shard dust right next to that one to the shard shop. Now we've got campaign shard dust, so every 10 campaign shard dust will get us another shard pack, and it's kind of an additional tier of RNG there to give us an opportunity at another shard that we might want. And I just cannot get that run speed shard. That one is just absolutely huge. Now, in addition to that, as I mentioned, you're going to be well past level 50, and you're going to be earning Ascension points. So where you apply the Ascension points is greatly up to you. Every level, you're going to get 1 point from offense, then defense, then utility, then back to offense, and so on. Where you put these points depends on how you're playing. Now, we got one category that's full offense, one category that's full defense. The tough category is utility. Now, for this playthrough so far, I've been DPSing on my apprentice and not building anything with the apprentice. So with that in mind, I can put these utility points into something apprentice related for hero damage, like hero crit chance, ability mana, or movement speed for that quality of life. I feel like just because I can't find that stupid run speed shard, I've got to put the points in movement speed just to get a little bit more speed running around the maps. Run faster, game more fun, just all there is to it. Now, in the defense category, you've only got one choice on every single character, and that is you've got to put these points into defense speed. It's so important. So defense speed is where we're going to want to put those. And then on the offense category, I have been using that tornado quite a bit for crowd control. So I'm going to put my first 4 points into the tornado knockup duration to make it last a little bit longer. Now, on my monk, I have only been building. I have not been doing any DPS. Now, run speed, of course, is always a huge quality of life. However, raw power, baby. The first thing we want to go into is defense crit chance. We're not as concerned with getting around the map quick, although we'd love to have it. However, crit chance is just going to be a raw damage increase. In the defense category, just as every hero, we need to put those 4 points into defense speed. And then in the offense category, I'm not playing the monk, so it doesn't really matter. If I was playing the monk, I would go into heroic boost damage. So we'll just go ahead and put those points right there. And then we could take a look at the Squire. Now, the Squire is the only exception to the rule. I'm not currently using anything that really requires defense speed. Now, the Spike Blockade does attack, and it does benefit from defense speed. So for the Squire, I can really do whatever I want. I could go into Spike Blockade health to get my walls a little fatter, or I could make my walls attack a little bit more often. I'm going to put my points directly into defense speed, just because if I do want to use one of these other defenses, it will then be a little bit further along for me. And then we're going to go into provoke duration. Let's go ahead and go with points into that first. And that's what I personally would do with my Ascension. I haven't used my Huntress at all, so I'm just going to leave her empty for now. But if you're building on the character, prioritize defenses. If you're DPSing on the character, then prioritize offense. And if you're doing both on one character, like if I wanted to build a lot of, say, Squire towers and put cannonballs and ballistas all over the place, that's where I'm going to run into a little bit of a problem, because I have to make a choice between my hero damage effectiveness and my defense effectiveness. So it's always going to be slightly easier if you are DPSing on a hero that you are not building with. So just a few thoughts there. Now, that is it. We've got a really good base start to the game. We've got 2,000 Defender medals saved up, even though we spent 1,000 on a shard, which means, I mean, we could go and buy more shards if we really wanted to, or we could save those Defender medals for down the road. Now, additionally, my pet is now, you see down at the bottom, we've got the power level and the affection level. Now, my affection level is 9 of 10, so there's nothing I can do yet. I want to get it upgraded all the way to 10, and then we're going to start evolving our pet. Now, you also notice that you're going to be just getting spammed with pet eggs now, so you can crack these eggs open. They don't really have any worth. There's no super rare pet that's worth an extreme amount of gold in any of these standard eggs, so you can do what you want with them. They will get quite aggressive as far as the quantity of them that you're going to get. So you're probably just going to end up scrapping them eventually. But, you know, when you're just first starting the game, crack them open, see if there's any pet skins you really like. As I mentioned, I like to try to target earth damage for one of the earth damage abilities. And then we're going to get all of these pet boxes. We're going to get pet food boxes. We're going to get various types of pet reagent boxes. And then we're going to get pet reroll boxes. These are going to be food to level up the power of pets, reagents to evolve pets, and then pet reroll tokens to reroll stats on pets. As soon as we get to a point where we can use this stuff, I will be cracking those open and going through it here on the playthrough. But next up, we want to still follow that new player quest along, and next up we have Defend the Realm from enemies enhanced by the power of chaos by completing 10 expedition maps. Now, we're going to get into expeditions next time, or the next several episodes. This, you've got some choices. Obviously, we're going to be starting off in Chaos 1. However, you can progress through these tiers super, super quickly if you want to. In some cases, you may only have to run like maybe 1 or even 2 Chaos 1 maps to get to Chaos 2 and start progressing forward. So we've got to complete 10 Chaos expeditions, which means we could end up getting several Chaos levels knocked out just by the time we're done with this particular Dragonfall Explorer quest. So we'll hit that up next episode. That one is going to be extremely rewarding as well. By doing these 10 expeditions, we're going to get 300,000 gold. We're going to get another 1,000 Defender medals. And then we're going to get an Inspiration Shard, which is another great shard to help out any build of the basic heroes. But that will do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you next time around. Take it easy.